Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Melvin Way and this is a new plant growing series I'm starting about growing a Kadota fig tree cutting. So it's day 0. You can see the odd blemish here and there, but otherwise the foliage looks really healthy. It's been pruned at the top, and this is definitely a cutting because if you think about it, most tree fruit seedlings just shoot straight up. So this one is already branched and it has signs of being pruned, and you can see some branching coming from the base right out of the soil. This is in potting mix. It's day 2, so not much change so far, but you can tell overall things are very healthy looking. This is in potting mix, which I'll be looking to get it out of and transplant this into a bigger 5-gallon pot. You can see there's a seed left over from something else and some little plants as well. So overall, I would say out of all the cuttings that I bought on this day, this was the healthiest. I bought 2 other plants and I'll show you a series about that pretty soon on my channel as well. So overall, I would estimate that this plant is in very good health. And it's got a hole there which got a little bigger. Maybe that's from a bug or some other problem, but yeah, we'll look into that later. Alright, so now I'm going to go over all the prep work I did for this upcoming transplant. Here you can see me preheating the oven to 250 Fahrenheit. That's 121 Celsius, well above boiling point. And I'm doing this just to be on the safe side to sterilize my coco coir, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is a medium that shouldn't contain bugs or pests according to the manufacturer, but there is a tiny minority of Amazon reviewers that said they grew this, used this to grow plants and had bugs. So you can never be too safe. This is my first time using coco coir. Some of my users suggested this a decade ago, and I never listened back then, but I'm always considering new ideas, and since the whole sand and clay soil, filtered clay soil mixture hasn't been working out that well in those double stacked Rubbermaid trash cans with drilled holes. I've decided to go with this because I don't want to drag around hundreds of pounds of sand and clay anymore. So just for the convenience factor, I'm going to go with this. So there's a brick, and you add 25 liters, 6.6 gallons of water, and you should get 55 liters or almost 15 gallons of puffed up hydrated coco coir. So this is what it looks like shrink wrapped, and you can see there's already some holes in it. So it's very dry, and if this package were to get water seeping in, then it would bust open, kind of like those mattresses that inflate out of the box upon exposure to air. So I've seen a lot of videos of this, and I've done some research online, and basically this thing expands like crazy when it comes into contact with water. So I'm going to bake my brick. So that weighs 5 kilos or 11 pounds. It's not too heavy, and it basically turns into this huge volume afterwards. So after 2 hours of baking, the brick cracked, but it didn't burn or give off any smells. So there were no smells before, and there are no smells during or after. So this bake surely killed any parasites that may have been present. And I think this should allay any fears about spider mite eggs or other unknown exotic pests infesting my plants after I do this transplant, because these are made from coconut fibers from India, I believe. So here's my new setup, 5-gallon plastic pots with these matching saucers on the bottom. So this is another purchase off of Amazon, and I'm switching to this setup plus coco coir just for the convenience factor. As I said, I don't want to deal with hundreds of pounds of sand and clay soil anymore. I want a very well aerated growing medium and pot setup. So you can see there's all these holes and slits at the bottom. They're not obnoxiously big, but they're big enough to get plenty of air circulation coming in through the bottom, which is really important. So they're not perfect, as you can see here. This one has some defects, but they're more aesthetic than most of the other stuff I saw on Amazon. So I just decided to go with this. And of course, I'm not happy with that defect right there, but I'm in a hurry. I don't want to deal with returns and waiting for another set and blah blah blah. Just if it's just one pot. So I'm gonna check out the other four, and I don't think it's worth it to deal with returns for something that I need right now, and it's gonna just get beat up and scratched up outside anyway. So I think this is it's going pretty well so far. So we'll see in a few minutes of this video how the transplant goes and what the aftermath of using this and the coco coir is. So the pot is flexible. It's not a super thick plastic, but considering how lightweight this material is going to be and how fluffy it is, it's not a big deal to not have basically a plastic fortress, because I'm not using 50 pounds of sand and soil. So here's the obligatory coco coir expanding footage that everyone shows online. So I watched a few of these videos before I delved into this and made the purchases. And right off the bat, I realized I used the wrong container shape. I should have gotten one of those big rectangular totes that's more wide in both dimensions than it is tall. So I picked not the worst possible container, but a pretty bad one, because it all eventually ended up getting stuck on the bottom. So the claim is that this can make 15 gallons or slightly under worth of coco coir once fully hydrated, and that you need basically 6.6 gallons, or is it 55 liters? Actually, I'm not even sure if that math works out. Yeah, I think they got the math wrong. But anyway, yeah, you add in your water. I used hot tap water. I don't even think the temperature matters. There are no smells. I hope the baking didn't, won't accelerate the rotting process, because I'm really looking for a growth medium that's very soft yet supportive, because it has a springiness to it, and very filled with airspace. So it'll be very aerated, because the main thing your plant roots need, any root system needs, is actually plenty of oxygen and circulation of gases. And the reason I didn't want to use rotting organic material in the past is because I don't want something that's just going to rot away and deprive the soil or the potting mix of its oxygen and basically suffocate the plant roots and cause them to rot. So this stuff is very moist and pliable, and you can feel how soft and fluffy it is. So basically, I think it'll be a great medium, and I can't wait to see my plants growing in this, and it's just way easier than the setup I had going for the last few years. So I'm definitely open to trying this new method out and seeing where it gets me. But yeah, I chose the wrong container, and you can see I'm paying the price here already, because in the end I spent so much time just sitting there outside at night picking with my hands to try to get it out of the bottom, because it was kind of like compacted in there despite all the watering. Alright, now that I've done all of that prep work with the coco coir, it's time to show you the root system of this plant. I can already tell it's a winner. It's probably got a root ball, but we'll see. So the Kadota fig is a cultivar that's been around for at least 2,000 years. Pliny the Elder, a naturalist of Roman times, described it 2,000 years ago among the 30 cultivars of figs that he knew about. So I can be sure that it's been around for probably a lot longer than that even. And yeah, it does come from the Mediterranean region. And there are also some cultivars from Western Asia as well. So the history matches up with the geography of its known range of origin. So the entire thing came out in a root ball and potting mix that made things very easy. When a root ball forms in a very small pot, that means the root system is very healthy, because it's getting lots and lots of aeration. So roots need oxygen, and this root system has been getting plenty of that. That's why the growth seems so robust and the leaves look so good. So I'm going to put this into the coco coir. which is a slower decaying medium than a potting mix, and will have hopefully a lot fewer pest problems as well. So I'm just going to put it there, and just to give you some advice, I would recommend holding the plant up higher than where you want the base of the trunk to lie vertically, because as you put in whatever growth medium you're doing, scooping in with your hand or a trowel or shovel or whatever, the tendency is your hand that's holding it up is going to drop. And not only that, the growing medium, as you're placing it in, it kind of drags down the root system. So what happens is you'll start at a certain height and you'll go lower over time. Part of that is probably just holding up your hand for so long as well. So I would start higher than you want the plant to actually end up, maybe by an inch or a few centimeters, and see how that turns out. But this stuff is very loose and fluffy, so if I screw up here, I could just dump it all out and try again. But basically, I want to not completely bury these little leaves and new shoots coming out of the base of the stem from the root system. So there are some adjustments to be made along the way, but as I was talking about earlier, the Kadota fig, it's been around for a long time, and it's said to be the best tasting cultivar by, well, at least one YouTuber that I watched. But yeah, I didn't do that much research on figs and this variety of Kadota before I started making this video. But as you can see, yeah, this transplant is going very smoothly. Coco coir is a very soft and nice medium, and it's very homogeneous. It doesn't have vermiculite and perlite and all these other things that are typically present in store-bought potting mixes. So I don't know how much I should be compacting this stuff, but I want it to last 5 pots. It does say that it should be able to make like 15 gallons worth of this stuff or even less on the instructions in the coco coir, but it ended up having enough to fill all 5 of these pots that I bought off Amazon, so that's pretty good. So maybe I have it a little fluffier than it was intended, but I haven't had any issues with structural support of my little seedlings cuttings, and this is no exception. So this is basically a pretty good deal. I thought I was gonna have to buy more coco coir, but basically I have enough to fill all 5 pots, which is great. And this is a sterile start, which means there are no nutrients in there. And yeah, just for pest control sake, I'm spraying on day 5 some Bayer Bio-Advanced Insect Disease and Mite Control on all the plants, and on day 7 I started fertilizing. So this is Miracle Grow. So I'm using the big end, the big scoop, because that's what you should do according to the instructions for outdoor plants, and instead of just dumping it on top of the sand or whatever and adding water. And this is some crushed vitamin pill powder basically, and that's not to provide vitamins for the plants, it's just to provide the minerals that are lacking, such as calcium in your typical crystallized fertilizer, chemical fertilizer like that. So this is very soluble stuff, and you're supposed to dilute it in 1.5 gallons. I think it's like 5.7 liters. So basically just do some shaking around, and I think I went past 1.5 gallons. I went probably 1.7, something like that, and that's fine to have it a little bit more dilute. But basically in 2022, I've had open sun for the first time in my YouTube plant growing career. Prior to this, all my plants were growing on balconies. So basically the needs have changed a lot, and I noticed that sand and clay soil mixture, mostly sand, that I had going into 2022, it was drying out really, really fast. So in the open full sun, things dry out fast, and also you have these concrete slabs that everything's resting on. So that absorbs heat from the sunlight during the day, and basically this is a more hot and dry environment than any I've ever had. So after I fertilized, I'm just spraying off the foliage, because I don't like the idea of fertilizer sitting concentrated on the leaves or the undersides of the leaves. So I'm just spraying everything down, and giving a little bit of further watering to everything, and sort of filling up the dishes of these pots as well, so the water can soak from the bottom, which is better than just keep pouring water from the top. So yeah, I'm just showering everything off, and you can see the Joshua tree there. The clay soil and sand mixture is not very absorbent. It takes a lot for stuff to go in there. So by contrast, this is day 14. You can see the coco coir is soft and spongy, and it absorbs like a sponge. It's just really loose. So this is day 14. You can see there's been significant development for the foliage coming out of the bottom. I don't know why the plant chooses to do this, but it just came that way. And yeah, it's definitely cutting because it's branching out so vigorously. So some of those leaves are partially buried, but I think over time it'll do fine. Everything will grow out, and it won't be covered or buried. So you can see there's some new leaf development up here. And it seems like the holes that were in the existing leaves, like this hole, for instance, in this leaf in the middle, it got bigger proportionally to the size it was 14 days ago or 2 weeks ago. So that kind of suggests that scars and tears, they kind of grow at the same rate. They maintain the same dimensions relative to the rest of the leaf as it grows. So it's day 22. We kind of have May gray here in San Diego, where the sun kind of darts in and out, especially around the coastal regions where I am, from cloud cover every few seconds or minutes. So it's very few days of full sun or like really bright open skies exist in coastal California, Southern California during this season. But plants can still grow pretty well even with all these cloudy days, and you can see there's new leaves developing on all three shoots here. So that's pretty good. And the leaves are bigger. Everything looks, well, there's a little bit of, there are a few spots on some of these leaves, but that's the way the plant came. And you can see the new foliage on the bottom is, it looks really healthy and perfect. So I'm fertilizing again. It's basically following the instructions, which says every 2 weeks, and you increase the amount of fertilizer for the outdoors for full sun because plants use more as they grow outdoors. And then I'm washing everything off again, off of the foliage. So prior to the fertilization / watering, I did dig my finger down there in one of the pots, and I found that the first 2 to 3 inches down there, 5+ centimeters, were very dry. So the game completely changes in an environment where you go from balconies to full sun on an open front yard like this. So you have to consider that and basically up the watering considerably just to make sure everything's hydrated, because otherwise your plants are going to wither. So yeah, basically the conditions have really changed, and now I have to water a lot more, even though this material, coco coir, is very absorbent. And yeah, it basically handles the needs of my plants a lot better than just mostly sand. Sometimes it was like 90+% sand. So that concludes the first episode of this series. Once again, I'm spraying this Bayer Bio-Advanced Insect Disease and Mite Control to get rid of any potential problems. Thanks for watching.